It's creeping up on us. Water from underground. It may be an overlooked climatic problem, but it's a significant consequence of climate change that we have to bear in mind when the groundwater may rise by 1 to 2 meters, when there's torrential rain and the sea level rises. The weather in the North Sea region is changing. It's becoming more and more extreme. When it's good, it will be really good. When it's bad, it will be really bad. Extreme conditions will become the norm. It is predicted that less summer rain will fall, but it will fall as tropical torrential rain, cloudbursts that will flood our towns. Annual rainfall is expected to increase by 30% by the year 2070, and it's feared that the groundwater will rise by as much as 2 meters. There will be problems getting rid of the groundwater via existing watercourses, and the result can be that the water systems will periodically break down, that the landscape will change.
In many places in Denmark we expect that the groundwater level will rise, and in some areas it will rise so high that we will get lakes where we don't have lakes today, and we will get wetlands where we don't have wetlands today.
Taken a year at a time, the weather extremes can seem like random events, but over a period of years, a clear tendency emerges. Meteorological events that previously were described as once in a lifetime now happen every year.
What we see now, or we expect now, is that within a relative short period we will get large increases in temperature, for example, large increases in precipitation. And of course, the faster it happens, the more difficult it is to adapt to.
Flowers and plants from the Mediterranean area are invading our gardens. The North Sea area produces wine. We grow our own figs, olives and bay leaves. Mediterranean fish populate local waters. Pavement restaurants have become a phenomenon in October. The increases in temperature will bring rain and storms. This graph shows the global temperature developments from 1866 to 2006. The horizontal line shows the average temperature in the years from 1961 to 1990. The temperature is increasing. If these tendencies continue, 30% more rain will fall in 2070 than we experience today. In 50 years, in some places, the groundwater will rise between 1 and 2 meters. CLIWAT is working on mapping and counteracting the consequences of rising groundwater. How worried should we be? How rapidly will it happen? And what can we do about it? Here is a Danish working group consisting of some of the most qualified people from industry, research, agriculture, the construction industry and public management, gathered together in Horsens.
What we are facing is a change in climate that is going to happen very fast, faster than seen in other historical data. And this will cause challenges for the society, but first we need to get the knowledge, and that's what CLIWAT will bring us. We'll bring in knowledge about groundwater and also try to make solutions for the future.
Researchers from Holland, Belgium, Germany and Denmark will work together creating models of what will happen when the groundwater rises. Action is necessary if the big rivers like the Rhine and the Meuse are to be able to absorb these huge quantities of water from Europe. And action will be taken.
We are now about to redimension our water system for it. And what the future will bring from climate change and more precipitation, we know it's an important issue. We know that we need a better draining system, and we need bigger sluices and bigger pumping stations to get the water out.
Sewers and drainage systems are not built to handle tropical-style rainstorms. The high groundwater level and cloudbursts will result in flooding because the watercourses cannot handle the load and because the sewers are undersized. If flooding is to be avoided in the future, steps must be taken in a large number of towns and cities in the North Sea area. Here, 2 horizontal pipes for impounding the water have been installed, so that the town will not be flooded by extremely heavy rainstorms.
If we are looking into the sewer system, it is estimated that we have to put, I think we have calculated, about 20 to 50 billion Danish kroner into that, just to bring it up to level.
Grundtmy, Carl Bro, have calculated that 2,500 kilometers of Danish roads would be flooded by a groundwater rise of only 50 centimeters. Because of this, new standards are needed in the road construction industry to take possible future developments into account.
We have to prepare for raising groundwater already now in our planning and what we are going to do and what we're going to plan for the next, 50, 100 years. It's very important that we take raising groundwater into account now.
This map shows the situation in an area of the Esbjerg municipality if the groundwater rose by only 50 centimeters. The violet areas would be flooded, and this includes 70 kilometers of roads. In addition, even groundwater rises that do not cause flooding can still cause problems. When the water is 20 centimeters under the road, it can be undermined, and this will not be visible.
We cannot lower the groundwater, so we have to ensure the buildings, also the roads. We have to make a higher level of the roads.
Precautions must be taken. Incidents have already occurred. Here, the road has been undermined by heavy summer rain. It was sheer luck that a train did not crash through the freely hanging rails after the embankment had been washed away by a cloudburst. Here in eastern Jutland, the road has completely disappeared down into the forest, and a new one had to be built.
If all the pores in the earth is saturated with water, then it's hard to get rid of the water. So it takes longer time to get rid of groundwater flooding than surface water flooding.
The steadily rising level of the groundwater can give problems for agriculture. During the winter, the fields are already wetter than the farmers would like them to be. Field drainage needs to be more effective. The high groundwater level also means that more fertilizer is washed out, and there's more agricultural pollution of the watercourses. To know about the groundwater, you have to know about the subsoil. And that is why CLIWAT is investigating the composition of the subsoil.
That's geophysical investigations, geological investigations, hydrological investigations concerning the groundwater systems, getting more knowledge in this perspective.
Gamma measurements made by the Geological Survey of Denmark and Greenland, GEOS, make it possible to map the geological structure beneath the surface and gain insight into the composition of the subsoil. It is feared that leakage from pollution hotspots that were believed to be under control will leak into areas where it could harm the groundwater or the water courses when the water rises. With the help of the helicopter and the ground-based investigations, the composition of the subsoil can be charted.
I told them to fly again directly here across the landfill.
In this area in southern Jutland, a former refuse tip has caused pollution.
It's working.
Pollutant substances threaten to pollute the groundwater if the groundwater rises, a threat that was averted during the current groundwater conditions.
Maybe today we have a flow direction toward east, for example, but maybe the groundwater will rise in a way that maybe the groundwater in the future will go west instead of. So there's several issues here that could create problems for landfills.
A special problem threatens coastal areas, where a rise in sea level can result in salt water entering the groundwater. As has happened here in South Holland, the red areas show where the salt is entering the groundwater. This is a problem that is being taken more and more seriously.
That's why we are in, and also why CLIWAT is in, to help them analyze the present situation and also to analyze the future situation.
Rainwater produces freshwater reservoirs under the dunes. They are threatened by the rising sea level. Entry of salt water will especially be a problem for the groundwater on the islands and under the Dutch dunes. if the sea level rises. GEOS have measured the entry of salt water in more islands. The graph shows the rising border between freshwater and saltwater in the subsoil of the German island of Borkum. Also in Denmark, salt water can enter the groundwater in coastal areas as a result of the rising level of the sea. And GEOS is investigating this by means of induction techniques. In the summer, when water levels in the rivers are low, shown here at Vesterschelde, a rise in the water level of the sea would result in the ingress of salt water deep into the country.
The salt, which is coming in from the surface water from the sea, in our surface water system, it's called a saltwater wedge, and we think that wedge will get more inland when the sea level is rising.
And this is where the problem lies. The heavy salt water penetrates under the fresh water and makes the rivers salty, much further inland than now.
And that is a difficult infrastructural problem.
Holland expects to use 100 billion euros on the prevention of the consequences of climate changes. The Danish west coast will also experience problems with the closed locks, which will result in flooding of the marshlands. The Danish east coast towns, like Horsens, will more frequently have problems as the sea level rises and the rivers and sewers overload. On the Google flood map, we can see what will happen if the sea level rose by more than a meter. And if we put the water into the street, it would look like this. A rising sea level would cause it to happen much more often in the future than it does today. So it's not certain that the sandbags in the cellar under the town hall will suffice anymore. If more and more frequent flooding, especially of our towns, is to be avoided, big changes need to be made. The new nursing home in Christiansfeld had to give up because the river could no longer handle the quantity of water. Today, new dikes have been built. These are stopgap solutions. New thinking is needed. And the building blocks for future efforts must be created now. That is CLIWAT's biggest challenge.
I cannot tell you that we are going to solve every problem, but we will try to find solutions on the challenges together with the different sectors involved in the project.